兄貴日記始まるよ。
Hello and welcome to Aniki Nikki, the podcast from Japan about stuff from Japan. I'm your host Pato, and today Paul and I will be talking about last season's goods and bads. How are you doing today, Paul?
Good, man. How are you?
Well, Japan is very hot, so I'm looking forward to kind of remembering a better time in what was spring.
Yes, I agree.
So, just as a little bit of a heads up to everybody, we are going to be doing something a little bit different than our last wrap-up episode, and we are going to go full spoiler for everything, every important plot point, every twist. So, if you haven't finished the show that we're talking about, maybe pause and come back later, because there's no timestamps for a podcast, so sorry, but that's how it is. So personally, I know, I liked a lot of shows last season, but nothing really made me feel like I have to watch the next episode right now. So I actually ended up not finishing most of these until, maybe like a week or two ago. I guess I got kind of distracted by other stuff. I was listening to the Critical Role podcast. It's I'm sure most of the listeners know what it is, but in case, it's a Dungeons & Dragons podcast done all by voice actors. So it's very high quality, and it's very entertaining. It's a homebrew story, so I think their story in their Dungeons & Dragons campaign was actually more interesting to me than most of the anime I watched last season. So I might have mentioned it in a previous episode, but usually I watch anime while I'm washing dishes and folding laundry and stuff like that. It allows me to watch a fair amount without with still being able to kind of maintain my busy schedule with work and stuff. But I basically, for like a couple weeks, I just didn't watch any anime, and I just was watching Critical Role the whole time. So yeah, but I did basically for this episode, I kind of forced myself to just stop and review all this stuff, so let's get to it. So first we've got 3D Kanojo Real Girl. Well, starting off with a real special one here. I really, really liked this show in the beginning.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite shows in the first one. I think I talked about how... Oh, actually we didn't do a preview episode for spring, so
no, we didn't
talk about it, but no, we personally talked about it. I was very excited about this show, and it just kind of fell apart.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I dropped it after I think 3 or 4 episodes. I could not take it after a while, and we'll get into that, I guess. But
yeah, well, I'll tell you basically what happens then. So we have Tsutsui and Iroha, the girl and the boy. He's nice to everybody. She is like kind of whatever about everybody. It starts out with her being at the hospital and crying, and then she's totally gonna die from something later, but they kind of are like, No, it's totally okay. And they're trying to make you forget about it the whole show. Yeah, they still haven't brought it up again at the end of the series. But the thing that really frustrated me about this show was Tsutsui himself. He's such an idiot.
Yeah.
And not in an endearing way. I don't think I've hated a main character as much as him, except for maybe Tomoya from Saikano, who I absolutely despise. But he is just so frustrating. And the thing about it is that it's understandable. I guess it's kind of a realistic character that doesn't make me hate him less, but like, if you are someone that's been bullied for your whole life, it's not unreasonable to think that he'd have some issues with trust and stuff like that. And that's not the part that bothers me so much. It's that throughout the series, he does all this really dumb stuff where he's like, oh, you're a girl, and I'm going to be super nice to you, and I'm going to make you like me by accident, and I'm not going to get it, even when everyone tells me that this is how it is. And I'm going to be like, no, that's not how it is, because nobody would ever like me. And it just kind of drags out at one point. So basically, he meets the girl, and then it doesn't go well. So he recruits the help of another girl, but she doesn't like him in that way, so you think it's safe. Then he meets his underclassman, who also is super into anime, and is very cute, and he's nice to her, and no one's ever been nice to her before, so she falls in love with him. And then it gets super, super dramatic. They go on a camp thing, yeah, and there's a bunch of drama, and Iroha, the girlfriend, like runs out and gets lost in the woods, and Tsutsu goes and finds her, and then for some reason the underclassman girl was like, I can't hide anymore, I love your boyfriend, and she's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Yeah. And Tsutsu's like, oh, well, why is not everyone getting along? We were having so much fun before. And they're all like, you're an idiot. And then, of course, his best friend likes the underclassman girl. Mm-hmm. So there's that kind of thing where he's like, don't hurt her, you piece of shit. And he's like, why? You're my only friend. Why are you suddenly turning on me? So, But that's nothing. That's nothing. So we have all this drama at the end. And he keeps on. So, sorry. Another important point was, at one point he becomes the enemy of this cool guy because the cool guy likes Iroha and believes he's more deserving. So the cool guy gets his younger sister to basically say that Tsutsun tried to touch her in the park, and he gets like arrested, and there's a big rumor spread around the school that he's a lolicon, and everyone starts to bully him and like putting dirt in his shoes and ignoring him and like turning over his stuff and all that kind of stuff. And then it turns out that the girl is the love interest of his little brother, and it all comes back, and it's kind of dumb, but then they become friends. So it's like whatever, but during the whole everyone's being mean to me thing, he keeps like pushing away his girlfriend. He's like, oh, you can't walk home from me, I don't want you to be you can't walk home with me, I don't want you to be a target. And she's like, well, I want to walk home with you, like I don't care about that. And he's like, no, I'm gonna walk home with my friend instead, because he's already disliked by everyone, I guess. And then during that whole time, he starts hanging out with the cute underclassman who also likes anime, and he's like, well, I don't get why you don't trust me. Like, yeah, so he's super frustrating. And then, to make matters worse, her brother shows up, and of course, it's not her real brother. It's her not related by a blood brother, and he loves her, and he like pushes her up against the wall, and he's like, that guy's not deserving of you. And then the series ends. Well, he gives her a promise ring, but still, I mean, Tsutsun gives her a promise ring, but it was kind of dumb. A second season's already been confirmed, from what I understand.
That's what I saw.
It's only 10 books long, the original manga, so I'm assuming that it's going to end the next season with her dying.
Jeez.
And, but yeah, I mean, am I happy I watched it to the end? Not really.
Yeah.
Am I happy I didn't drop it? I guess because I feel like I liked it enough at the beginning that I would have wondered how it went, and I would have regretted like not knowing it later on.
Mm-hmm.
But then I would have spent time later on and been mad, so it's kind of hard to say.
I think this might be something that might have to revisit once it's finished, just because, like I said, the first couple of episodes, I just couldn't get over just how cringy everybody was to the start. Like, like the best friend with the cat ears, who's like, "Oh wow, you're like a real person now. You have a girlfriend. I'll never have a girlfriend." Like that kind of stuff. I just couldn't do it after a couple of episodes. Like once I saw the trend, I just had to stop. But yeah, maybe when it completes, there might be something in there the next season that makes it interesting and worth the watch. But right now, no, I don't think so.
As it is right now, I would not recommend it. I think part of it, what it had going for it too, is that I liked the opening song, and I liked the character design because it had a very manga feel to it. It didn't have that washed out generic anime look that a lot of shows get when they get their anime versions. They still had like really pointed faces and just in general a more unique look, which I liked. So oh well, I would say you're right. Don't spend unnecessary time on it unless it's something that's really interesting you.
Yeah, that's the rule.
Let's move down the list. We're just looking at stuff we watched, basically. So next for me is Comic Girls. Did you watch Comic Girls?
I did watch most of it. I dropped this one again partway through just because, again, I thought it was just doing things that were like heavily overused the last couple of seasons. It just was kind of the same formula over and over again, like four awkward girls get together and they all have the same interest in like, hijinks, go on. And, and I just couldn't do this one either after a while. Like it was,
I did watch it to the end. And it was just kind of like because I was bored and washing dishes, so I was like, oh, well, I have this to watch. I don't think I would like take time to sit down and actually concentrate on watching it.
No. I don't know. I thought it tried to do like it's the same formula. Like you have, I don't know. So just this like group of girls, like that does X hobby, or has X special interest. Like they're wacky together. I'm like, okay, I'm tired of this, to be honest. So, it reminded me a lot of what was the show the previous season? That was kind of like it was kind of the same deal. Like I don't know.
What was the hobby?
Like, well, it kind of reminded me of like shows like New Game or shows like. Not even like Lucky Star or K-On! Because I mean that was a little bit more in depth, but like just a show like New Game where it's like, oh hey, here's this group of girls, they all do the same thing, and like they're all like, now they're all friends together and they all do the same stuff. It's just like I don't know, it just seems too easy, I guess, to do, and it's boring to me.
It was kind of like ramen. And Ramen Daisuke Koizumi-san.
Oh yeah,
and and mixed with Eurocamp, I guess. But I felt like Eurocamp did it a little bit better. It did the concept a little bit better of the girls having their hobby and being friends.
Sure.
I don't know. So for me, Comic Girls was like. It was like you said, it was very cookie cutter. I feel like the manga is probably better. Like,
oh yeah, most likely.
I'm assuming it's a Yonkoma manga. Maybe it's not. I mean, usually those things are.
Yeah.
So there's probably like more interesting stuff that goes on in the manga, but like, it did have a very generic feel to it. The characters were just kind of like cut out of other things. Like, oh, she's the normal girl. She's the Junibyo girl. She's the embarrassed girl. And she's the klutz.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of frustrating that the chaos girl, Moita, had no real growth until like the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, oh, you suck. No, you still suck. No, you still suck. No, you suck a little less, and you still suck. Where all the other characters... Well, actually, I feel like the only character that even got any growth was Ruki, the girl that draws the teen romance manga.
Mm-hmm.
Because she had her whole episode about, like, meeting her fans and how it was basically like ero manga is a legitimate manga category because it affects people.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, at least she got her little bit of growth, but like everyone else was just kind of like, whatever. I mean, Tsubasa, later on they go to her house and you find out that her family is like forcing her to be successful or quit manga altogether. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a shoehorned in thing.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it had some cute moments. Like Chaos's mom showed up and she gets a one shot in the magazine and her mom like hands out the magazine with all the snacks that they make at their store to all the old people in town. So there's old people holding like shoujo manga, like. So it had like its cute points, sure. But like I said, it was just not super interesting. It was just enough that I could like watch while doing something else and have a little chuckle every once in a while.
Sure.
So if you're really interested in manga production and cute girls going together, I guess it might be worth checking out, but for the most part, I would not really recommend it as like something to watch from this season. Like if someone was like, oh, I wasn't able to watch anything last season, what should I watch? I would not pick this one as one.
I just remembered that's what it reminded me of, Slow Start, that show.
Oh,
which was kind of
Slow
like
Start.
The same sort of like let down toward the end. You're like, wait, what?
That one, yeah, I have a lot to say about Slow Start. That was a bummer.
Yeah.
I did not like that one.
Mm-mm.
I did not like the direction that they took with that. I liked it at the beginning, but whatever.
Yeah, it was good up to a point, I think, just like this one. So, oh well.
I will say, though, that at least Comic Girls, it kept the same tone through the whole show. Mm-hmm. Where I felt like Slow Start didn't really know what it wanted to be.
Yeah.
And it was like trying a lot of stuff, and some of it really rubbed me the wrong way, so.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So Comic Girls is drop from Paul and a not really recommended unless you really, really want to watch it from Pato. So
yes.
Next one, we've got something that you and I were definitely super pumped for at the beginning of the season in Full Metal Panic: Invisible Bixori.
Yes.
So let's just immediately say, did you like it by the end?
I did like it. I thought it was a little weird toward the end where the last episode, like the last minute, that like last 2 minutes of that episode where Chidori's on the plane and she's like awesome. She's like, oh, like I'm gonna kill myself. No, wait, let me like say goodbye. And then she decides all of a sudden she wants to like, like be strong again after she was just moping around the whole series. Like I thought that was a little weird.
Well, hold on. So, I mean, yes, she was kind of moping around, but at the same time, like she was held in captivity for like months, and she still hadn't quite given up. Like she was making omelets that said Sosuke and stuff like that. So, I think, there was a little bit, but you're right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's kind of go through the show piece by piece.
Gotta break it down.
I really liked it.
In
the middle, I was kind of bored. Mm-hmm. Not bored. I wasn't ever bored, but I also, until the end, never felt urgency that I needed to watch the next one.
Right.
Which kind of surprised me because Paul and I both absolutely adore the original Full Metal Panic anime and Fumofu and everything associated with it. So I was expecting to be like, I can't wait for the next episode, but I kept on, like getting it, and then it'd be sitting there in my download box, and I'd kind of like, well, maybe I'll watch Comic Girls. Maybe it's interesting this week or whatever, and just kind of like put it at the end. So Full Metal Panic starts up a little bit after, about 9 months after the previous one, where Chidori was kidnapped, or not quite kidnapped. They hijacked the plane, and then Mithril kind of outed itself. And it starts off with a bang, right? Like, immediately, it's like, oh, the school is under attack. Oh, Sasuke is driving the car. Boom. Grenade launchers everywhere.
Yeah, they just
Crazy.
come and mess up that school. I was like, wait, what? Like, the best friend gets, like, shrapnel in her gut. I was like, what? Like, like, this is for real now.
Yeah. It was definitely the anime version of Full Metal Panic in the original ones, right? Like, it was still pretty serious throughout the whole thing. They cut out a lot of the funny stuff to put into Fumofu, which I haven't read the light novels, so I can't say how serious they are, but I know in the manga version, it's kind of like intertwined. Like, it's like serious thing from Fumofu, serious thing from Fumofu. So, but this time it's all 100% full throttle action, crazy. There's armored suits for people now. So
like
it's
the mini ASs. Like, I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, you can't. They definitely. And they're like blowing up the submarines and everything. Like, they definitely changed the tide in one fell swoop. They're like, all right, we're done playing. We're bad guys, and we're gonna mess your shit up now. Originally, the CG of it kind of bugged me at first, but I feel like it got better as the thing went on.
Yeah.
At the very least, I started noticing it less. Maybe it was the backgrounds as well. But the first two episodes, the CG is absolutely jarring in my opinion. Like the car chase thing, it was just bad. What do you think? How did you feel about the CG in it?
I mean, I was going to mention the thing with Full Metal Panic in the anime is that the first series, and I think we talked about this before, is that the first series came out in like 2002. So it's been a really long time for Full Metal Panic here, and I think that even the third series that came out, that small one, I think that was like 2008-ish or something like that. So we have just this huge gap of time. So I mean, I don't even think in the last series they used CG at all, or if they did, it was really limited. And I think in the first series, like they used like maybe a tiny bit of it. But in this one, like I thought it was weird because I don't ever remember seeing that in Full Metal Panic. But like by the end of it, it did seem to get a lot better. And I think because like a lot of the stuff was like darker at night, like a lot of the mechs were like a darker color. I think that kind of helped. Kind of like blend everything in. But I thought it looked good toward the end. And I thought it looked good overall. I mean, it wasn't like a terribly produced show or anything like that. But yeah, it was just different.
Yeah, definitely.
Than the Full Metal Panic that we originally saw.
Yeah. So plot wise, we had the school gets blown up basically. I mean, and then Arbalest gets blown up.
Yeah.
Like. Oh, you thought you were tough. Well, guess what? You're blown up now. And then Chidori gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
in like 3 episodes. Right?
Well, it was
3 or 4 episodes.
She gets kidnapped, and then they just fuck up Mithril, like their base. Like everybody has to like run away. Like they just they have the giant like behemoth mechs that like nobody can do anything with. I'm like, what? Like, okay, like, is this show over already? Like, how are they going to get out of this pickle? And then you just have Sosuke, like, show up, like, in some, like, goofy, like, Southeast Asian town or whatever, and now he wants to be, like, a pit fighter with mechs. Like, I didn't really understand what was happening. Like, it was a weird That was a weird little plot point, I
That
think.
that was weird.
But it made sense
So like,
later.
yeah, exactly. Well, it was just I thought I mentioned this to you. I know, privately, but like, it was so funny to me how he has this whole thing, and he's like, Chidori, Chidori! And then it's like, meanwhile, later in India, and the guy that at first I thought was, what's his name, Chris? I was like, oh, Chris is in disguise in India, and or Weber is it?
Oh yeah, Kurtz Weber,
Chris
yeah.
Weber, right? Kurtz Weber, yeah. So I don't know. I just thought that was him.
I thought it was him for a little bit too.
I thought he was going to be in disguise. It kind of even sounded like him a little bit. But
Yeah.
like, and I was like, oh, cute girl. Okay. And then it's like, Rick is there and he just gets murdered. And then Sosuke's like, yo, where's Rick? Oh, he was murdered? Too bad. I'm flying his mech now. I'm a better pilot anyway. I was like, whoa. I know like Sosuke has some like not good at handling social situation stuff, but like that was even cold for him. So
didn't he say something like, I always told him to like watch his back or something like that?
He did.
And then
he did.
He just got stabbed in the back.
Yeah. Like to his friends. His friends are all like, oh man, Rick's dead. What are we gonna do? It's like, oh, Rick's dead. Told him. Called it. Like, I'm the new Rick. Get used to it. Like, and you know, I thought the whole idea of like the robot fight was cool. They had a sweet little montage there, you know, of him like working up through the ranks with crossbow and
like fixing it up and painting it.
Yeah.
Buying parts and
making it like a Arbalest part Mark II. And then Amalgam is like, no, you can't have nice things, and shoots his girl.
Yeah, like a new love interest girl that everyone likes.
Yeah.
Who's super cool.
Yeah,
no,
and she's a whispered, like, and he never even tells her. That was like weird, like not weird, but like good in the sense of like realism, where, because you know, there's a lot of times where you won't have a chance to say something like that to someone. So, but I really liked how it was like he's watching them count down, and you're thinking, okay, well, this is Sasuke. What kind of crazy operation is he going to come up with? He's gonna get it. Like, come on, Sasuke, what are you gonna do? And he's like, 5, 4, 3, and I'm bored. Boom. It's like, what? Not me. Like,
oh man.
But then, surprise! I'm not Weber, but I'm also not a journalist. Guy shows up and pops
like,
everyone in the head.
It's like
so.
French special ops or something like that. I don't even know. Like, I totally forget what they were even doing. Like, they barely, like, toward the end of it, like, I'm like, why are you guys still here? Like, what are you doing? But
I feel like that was something that was probably explained better in the novels. That was just kind of like left out because it's not really important.
The whole Nami thing too. I was reading a little bit about it, and apparently she has like the role that she has in the light novels and manga, I guess, is a lot more robust. But I think her character kind of goes out the same way, which is disappointing. But yeah, stuff seems to be more explained in light novels and manga.
Another thing that I really liked too was the fact that when she dies, her whole crew of bros is basically like, nah, fuck you, Sosuke. Like, you're not one of us. You never were. You never will be. Like, get out. We're done with you now. Because like, there's so many anime where it would have been like, oh, you know, well, Nami would have wanted us to help you, so we're gonna get revenge on her from Big Bad Amalgam, and like, they can't just break our robot and get away with it. But they were totally like, you know, nah, we're done now. Peace out. Like, never talk to us again. So I really liked that about it. And what else? So from there, oh yeah, well, then we had Operation Rescue Chidori, right?
Yeah.
Where they're suddenly attacking the base, but then the other people are also attacking the base because they're getting too uppity or whatever, and then she accidentally shoots Leonard in the head, but he's not dead.
So I don't know, like you, like I just watched obviously the subs, but the one dude, the guy who was that other dude that like betrayed him or whatever, like the old commander came up and was like, oh, he's only been grazed or something like that, and I don't know if I don't know how that translated, but it seemed...
well, that's what they said basically in Japanese. So I was like, whoa, what? Because
there was
that's
a pool
like a lot of blood.
Yeah, it's like did that get translated right? But yeah, then he was like unconscious.
It was like, oh, he's just shocked. Like, oh,
yeah,
he didn't think you were gonna pull the trigger. Like,
yeah.
So I'm definitely interested in what happens there because, number one, that would be a really cool plot twist. Like this ridiculously powerful super bad guy gets dropped in a really human way, like in a scuffle over a gun. That would be really cool. I would actually probably prefer that than a super, Sosuke versus Leonard mega mech battle later.
Sure.
Because they have a full host of other characters willing to step up there. So I mean, Amalgam is this like spider organization, so there's no leader, right?
There's plenty of bad dudes at the end that all just kind of like let everybody go.
Yeah, including the return from the big bad guy from Full Metal Panic, right? Like, he was that not him? I was distracted
Garon,
because
the first guy.
Yeah.
No, he I think in the third series, like they had their big showdown and he got killed.
Oh, okay.
And then this one...
Well, there was a guy that like showed up and he was like, hey, with the crazy smirk on his face.
Yeah, I don't remember who that was. If he was somebody in the last series or he was just like another badass for the organization that we're supposed to know. Right. Again, it might have been explained in another source.
Yeah, like I said, I was washing dishes at the time, so I'll have to rewatch that part of it later.
Sure.
But so Chidori gets kidnapped, and in a weird turn of events, I guess you could say, like, she steals the gun. She's like, I'm gonna blow my brains out if you don't give me a walkie-talkie. And the only part that bothered me about their whole thing was she went immediately like 180 turn.
Yeah.
She's like, don't come after me. I'm tired of people being hurt because of me. And then she's like, no, you know what? Come after me. I don't care who has to get hurt to save me.
I thought that was really weird too.
Like, I wish you didn't say it in that way. Like,
yeah.
If she would just like give it like, oh, I'm sorry, Sosuke, you can't let these people do it, or like, I want to live, or something like that, it would have been fine. But like, her being like, I don't care who has to be sacrificed to save me, was like a really weird thing to say for her character, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess that was my initial thing, like just the total 180 through how she's been through the whole series. And then it's like, just being like, oh, hey, like, by the way, like, I love you, we better kiss. And he's like, oh yeah, totally. Like, what? All right. Like, they've been beating around that for like, obviously the past couple series. So I thought that was like a huge kind of thing to put right on the end of that show.
Yeah. So I think the most interesting part about this particular series was the growth of Sosuke into kind of a normal human being instead of a mindless military robot. Mm-hmm. His urgency to save Chidori, to do what needs to be done, like, was really nice, because you can tell that he wasn't doing it from the mission perspective. Like, maybe he didn't even fully understand it, but he was doing it because he needed to do it as him. Mm. I don't know. I really liked that. I feel like they're getting a little bit of growth there finally from him. Mm-hmm. So wrapping things up, I mean, I would recommend it to people that were fans of the original, right?
Oh, sure.
What about you?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm definitely interested to see how it finishes.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely left it open for another season, which I'm glad for. But yeah, I think, if you've been a fan of Full Metal Panic for a while, then yeah, I mean, this is just the next chapter. So yeah, you need to kind of see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I thought they did a really good job ending the last set of it, like to where it was a satisfying ending. If it's not possible to end it where it is right now. I would not be satisfied if this was the last one. I'd be really mad. I mean, I'll go and read the books, but like,
yeah,
I kind of I was thinking if I want to just read the books now, but I think I'll watch till the conclusion of the anime, then I'll go and read the books. And then I can talk about how much better the books were to the movies. So
naturally.
All right. So next one is one that you watched, but I didn't watch. Was the Golden Kamui.
Yes, I did watch this.
So tell me about Golden Kamui. I didn't watch it because I have a couple services, anime services through Amazon Prime Video and Docomo Anime Store, and it was not on either of them. So
interesting.
Bummer. But
yeah,
why don't you tell me about it?
Yeah, so this one was basically it's like the early 1900s. It's like right after the Russo-Japanese War, and there's kind of like Japanese soldiers just kind of like coming back to Japan and just kind of trying to figure out what to do with their lives. So you have like this one dude, Sugimoto, as he's known, and apparently he got this nickname while he was in the war and they call him the Immortal Sugimoto. So like he's all messed up, like he's all scarred and stuff like that. But basically his whole thing is that like any fight he's in, like he gets all messed up, but he just doesn't die. And he just somehow gets out of it. So it's this dude wandering around. He basically hears this rumor going around that there's all this gold hidden somewhere in northern Japan, and it's all like Ainu gold, like the native Ainu people like have this stash of gold somewhere. So Sugimoto wants to find this gold because he wants to keep a promise to one of his war buddies to like take care of his family, and basically for that he needs money. So he's like, yeah, I'm gonna find this gold, like it's the only thing I have, coming back to Japan. He's like, let's take a look at this. So he's rolling around, like he's in his uniform, like he's got his gun and stuff like that. So he just looks like a regular soldier, and there's other soldiers like milling about too. What he finds out later is that I guess this stash of gold is sought after by a lot of other people as well. There's like I think there's like other military squads, like rogue military squads in Japan are like looking for it. There's like a guy that wants to start his own country and military, and like he's in control of one of these military squads. There's like remnants of the what is it? Like the old samurai from like the Meiji Restoration, the Shinsengumi. So there's like there's two old dudes from the Shinsengumi are like these badass old men, and they're like, we want this gold because we want to do our own stuff with it. So they're all kind of like going after it. And the key to finding this gold is that the dude that hid the gold made a map. But the map, to make the map, he tattooed like a few dozen other people that have this map on their skin, and you could only read it in such a way where like you have to like skin these dudes and like lay all the skin out to make the map because it's all different pieces. So Sugimoto catches on, and he's like, oh, like he finds one dude who has a tattoo, and then he finds out what it is. So like he's killing dudes, like it's really like this brutal kind of show in parts of it. He's killing these guys, he's skinning them, and like he's like, I'm gonna go collect these skins now. But like But what you see if you see the promo pictures, there's like this little girl that like is palling around with him too. And during all this, he meets this Ainu girl. I forget her freaking name. Ashripa or whatever it is. It's like this. So she meets up with him, and like she's really good in the wild and stuff like that. I think she like saves him. Something happens where like she saves him, and then they pal around together. So like she takes him to the Ainu village, and like he meets all the people. He starts learning more about this gold and everything like that. And then they're just kind of, palling around. It was only 12 episodes. Nothing really gets resolved toward the end of it, which I was kind of disappointed with. So I know there was a manga that lasted. I think the manga's still going, which I didn't realize at first. I think that I think I need to stop watching some of these shows that just have ongoing manga and I know aren't going to finish up in 12 episodes, just because it makes me really impatient. And I know obviously
understandable.
And I know obviously if the manga's still running, like how long is it going to take for this to resolve, or to see the rest of the anime finish up. Other than that, though, I thought it was cool. I think the character designs were different. They were a little different than what I've seen before. They were pretty unique, I thought. I really liked the opening and ending songs. I thought they were really cool. Overall, though, the show is just kind of like it didn't finish, so it's like I don't know. I thought it was interesting, though. I would say if you don't have anything else to watch, maybe pick it up and check it out. It did have one scene that was really bad CG with like a bear. Like he kills
wonderful.
Yeah, he kills a bear, and it's really, really like this weird jarring 3D, but like that was like the only instance of it in there. So I don't know why just the bear was 3D and the rest was fine, but I don't know. I thought it was cool. I thought it was different to see something that was set in that time period, because I don't really think there's a lot of stuff that takes place around like World War I, Russo-Japanese War, like early 1900s era. So it was pretty neat in that sense. But again, yeah, if you're super bored, check it out. It's not terrible, but it didn't really blow me away either.
Well, I still have from last season, Koi wa Ameagari no Yoni, so
that one's
maybe
good.
After I watch that.
Yeah, I'd watch that one first, probably.
I just found that one on Amazon Prime, so
nice.
I was really excited because I couldn't find any place to legally watch it before, so.
I like that show.
Yeah. All right, well, I mean, that's a bummer that it's like only a decent anime show, because it looks pretty cool. It's the character designs have always interested me because I've seen them in the manga before. I haven't read it, but I just kind of saw pictures of it, so maybe I'll pick up the manga version of it rather than watch the anime.
Well, again, it's one of those shows that I think if the manga finishes up, or if they actually finish up the anime and wrap it up, I think then it'll be a cool thing to watch, because you can actually like sit down and see the whole story. But right now, 12 episodes.
Yeah.
So
what can you do? 12 episodes.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to one that was kind of an unexpected hit for me anyway, was Hina Matsuri.
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit in Super Aniki Nikki, where Jordan mentioned it was his favorite show of last season.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely one of my favorite ones. Did you finished it, right?
I did, yeah. Yeah.
What did you think about it?
I liked it. The only thing I really didn't, and I assume again the story continues somewhere else, but the only thing
absolutely.
The only thing I didn't really like is I couldn't really, I didn't really understand like who these girls are, or like why they're where they are right now. Obviously, I'm sure that gets explained, and you got little hints of it in the show. But like I don't know who these girls are, or why they have these powers, or like why they're like, why the girl just falls into an apartment one day. Other than that, I mean, I thought it was a pretty cute show. It was pretty funny at points too. So,
yeah, I really liked it. I get what you're talking about, because I too have basically more questions than when I started. They did introduce like the one adult from her homeworld that was like kind of sent to either take care of her or bring her back or whatever. Yeah. Obviously, she didn't do either of those, but that's how she like adopts a dog, and then she's like, "Hey, we're going back in a week. I have to find someone to take care of my dog."
Yeah.
And I talked about it before, but for me, the kind of hidden gem was, forget about Hina. I loved Anzu's whole story.
Yeah.
They set up this kind of like wacky comedy from the beginning with all the Hina stuff, and she eats ikura all the time, and like she goes to school and sleeps all day, and her friend ends up working in the bar as a junior high school girl, and the teacher comes and she's like, no. no, it's not her. It's just someone who really, really looks like her. um, and the girl's mother. That was so funny when she's working all the part-time jobs as she runs away from home, and she's like, "All right, my mom will save me. I'll invite her to this party, and then she'll finally see the truth." And then she's like, "Please take care of my daughter." Like, what? And there was so much like hilarious stuff, and then the Anzu stuff. It kept on like feeling like there was supposed to be a punchline, and then the punchline never came, and you're just left with like this broken heart.
Yeah.
Like, I was so happy because they had the ramen shop owners. She was like, "Well, back in my old life," and they'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm crying. Like, keep it together, mama." And I was like, "Me too, me too." Like, oh, but what's his name said we could use, throw disposable chopsticks if we wash them again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can't.
This dish costs 500 yen. I could buy a week's worth of ramen for that. They're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
be strong, mother."
Yeah. I love when she's like, "Look at this," and she holds out like 4,000 yen, and the girl's like, yeah, what's that? She's like, "What? This is so much money." And oh yeah, no, I was just so shocked. I couldn't even react. Like, her whole story just and I was so happy because she never loses her sense of being grounded. Like, she doesn't do one of those things where she kind of like forgets about her hard life and becomes used to the thing. Like, no, she stays a hard worker. She keeps that, like, she never forgets where she came from. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I just really, really loved her story more than anything else in that show. The weird thing was, the way it opens, right? Mm-hmm. Whether in Hong Kong, and my smartphone, like the guy, the monk just gets his phone broken, and like you keep watching the series thinking, okay, how are we gonna get to this part?
Yeah.
And it seems they made it seem like she's been kidnapped or something, and then the investigator shows up, and you're like, oh, okay, this is it. This is the start of that thing. She's going to take her to Hong Kong, and that's going to be why it's it. Oh, no, she's not. All right. And then it turns out, like, the character that they introduced in the middle of the series and then never showed up again has been living like Tom Hanks from Castaway with talking coconuts. And then is pulled into a Chinese Ponzi scheme about like key energy and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, I definitely want to see more of it. Like, I want to see how this wraps up. But yeah,
but I don't know if they will do a second season. I mean, it ended in a really satisfying way.
Yeah.
Like, it definitely ended in a way that they weren't sure if they were going to get the sequel or not,
Yeah, but I guess again that, like, I definitely still have questions here that I wish would have been answered a little bit better.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting too how, like, all the other characters were more interesting than the obvious main character, or the person who's supposed to be the main character.
Yeah.
Like, Hina kind of she kind of gets there a little bit later, but like it's a really slow growth for her, I think. So I don't know, I was more interested in other characters.
Me too, completely. I was way more interested in her friend working the different jobs, mm-hmm. and in Anzu in general. Mm-hmm. I guess, yeah, I mean, I just wasn't really interested in Hina through the whole thing. Not that I was bored by her. She was interesting. Her parts were funny, but I wasn't like, man, I really hope there's more Hina stuff next time. So anyway, I would definitely recommend Hinamatsuri for anyone who likes comedic stuff. If you're looking for something serious, then that's not it. But
no.
I also wish that their promo art was different. I feel like their promo art hurts it. It doesn't really give you any idea of what to expect, and people, it's about a girl with a superpowers and the Yakuza guy. It's like, I don't know. I just feel like
It's a small part of it.
yeah. So anyway, watch it. It's good. Moving through, we have Maho Shoujo Ore, which is another disappointing one.
Yeah.
For me anyway.
Yeah, same here.
This is the only one that I gave up last season. I gave up after 5. I stuck it out.
Okay.
And it just I think I would have really liked it if it came out when I was in like junior high school. I think I'm not the demographic anymore for that. It was very low, random, and like trying to play against the tropes, but in a really clumsy way, I guess. To where it was like overly obvious what they were trying to do. Like you could just guess like what was coming next very easily. Oh, sorry, actually there was one more that I dropped, but I know you dropped this one too, and I think from less than me, right?
I think I watched more than 5. I definitely did. I think I watched like 8 or 9 episodes, and then I was just like, I know this is gonna be 12, but I just can't. It was just kind of the same thing every episode. And I'm just like, this isn't gonna get any different. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it changed in 3 episodes. I really doubt it, but it was just the same thing. Like, oh, hey, we're just trying to be idols, but now we're magical girls. But we're actually men. Oh wait,
we're men, yeah.
Yeah, but we're men. Oh, like this guy I like is getting captured again by demons. Like, oh no, like let's beat the crap out of them all. And it was just like the same thing.
And he only likes me when I'm a boy.
Yeah, and later on they did introduce like another set of idol girls that become magical girls, but like because they're not like super into it, they're not like full magical girls or magical dudes. So there was that aspect of it, but they're kind of doing the same thing as the other main characters. So it was just like I'm like, I could see what you're trying to do, but you're just doing the same stuff over and over again. So I just was not interested. By the time I stopped, it just was, it was disappointing. I thought it, the first couple episodes I thought they were really funny, but then once it's just the same thing over and over again, it got old.
Okay, well, I'm glad I didn't watch the rest of it then, because
disappointed.
So if you like LOL Random, go ahead and watch it. If not, maybe it's not for you. All right, moving on. We have another one I dropped. The other one I dropped is Persona 5, the animation, which was a kind of surprising thing for me because I loved Persona 5, the game. So I was actually really pumped because I know that the Persona 4 anime is really well regarded.
Yeah.
And the Persona 5 animation it felt clumsily done, we're fine. Persona 5 was a big super hit. It'll be good.
Yeah.
And what happened was they basically just tried. It was almost like watching just the cutscenes from the anime or from the game, but then the pace was so quick that you never had a time to get invested already. So I think someone who was watching it without having played the game would not really feel the same level of involvement, because everything was just so fast. Like, there's a whole lot of story. I mean, it's like an 80-hour game.
Yeah.
Trying to get through that in 24 episodes, make it a 50-episode series, and you've got something there. But try to get through that in 24 episodes. You're definitely gonna have to do that. But it was just kind of. I talked to a couple friends about this here over in Japan because they're even more hardcore Persona people, and they were like, "Yeah, it basically tells the story but leaves out all the interesting parts." It's like, yeah, that's basically how it felt.
That's kind of terrible.
I would really, if you're interested in Persona, I would just say play the game. Some of the shots even, they are done
so similarly to the game that I wasn't even sure if I was just watching the exact same cutscene from the game. I don't know if it's like that. It's to the point where I can't even tell you if they reused those assets or if they redrew it kind of like pose by pose or angle by angle, but like
They probably did.
it was really, really similar. If they did redraw it, like, kudos for doing an amazing job of recreating those scenes. But it is still boring. So sorry. If you're interested, just play the game. It's much, much better. Moving through, I don't think you watched Sword Art Online Alternative, did you?
I did not.
Yeah. All right. Well, then we got Tadakun wa Koi o Shinai. I know we both watched this to the end. So
We did.
what was your opinion on it? Hear yours first.
So I read a little bit about this too, and I thought this was going to be one of those that was like a manga adaptation, but this was an original series for this season. So like there was no source material for this, and seeing that I think pissed me off more than if I knew it was a manga, because while they wrap up the main story, they leave so many loose ends that they kind of resolve them, but I thought they were just so unsatisfactorily done. Like they could have, if they stretched it out to a few more episodes or like done an actual full season, I think they could have made a really cute show with a bunch of like with a couple different story arcs, that would kind of make like an anime like I'm used to seeing, that's 24 episodes that kind of just introduces all these characters, fleshes them out a little bit more, and resolves each story. This one didn't do that. It started off like, I mean, overall, I thought it was really cute. I liked it. I just wish maybe they would have either resolved the other storylines or just not even introduced them at all. Because you started out, you have all these, you have the I'm a dude, I'm in high school, like I take pictures, like I'm not paying attention to girls. Like you meet this like cute foreigner girl who like has all the same interests, like just I don't know, all these cool friends that are all like they all get together and they all do cool stuff, and then later on you see all these like love interests pop up, like the whole like Alex and Charles thing, like the one friend and like the dude's sister, like that was never wrapped up.
Yeah,
the one thing that pissed me off was the dude, the president of their photo club, and then the girl who's the idol that like even when he meets her, like he doesn't even realize like it's the same girl. And it's like, how do you have a relationship like that where like a girl could just like dress a little different, like you don't recognize her? Like that kind of annoyed me. And then they didn't even resolve it. Like he goes to college and then they're like, oh, we're not going to tell him, like that thing. I'm just like, come on guys. I thought it was weird at the end when he goes out there, like somehow he overcomes his fear and flies in this plane and like goes to this castle and like meets her, and all of a sudden like everything's cool, like she's just like, oh, I have to be here, and then like all of a sudden like at the end she just comes to Japan again. Just like, all right, like I didn't expect that. I thought it was just gonna end and be like this stupid like bittersweet ending, but then like they wrapped that up at least. But I don't know. I wish they would really stop doing these like 12 episode series where like they have to just cram a bunch of stuff in there to get it done instead of like fleshing it out. But I mean, I understand there's like a lot of money and time put in this, in the industry in general. But I mean, I don't know what's changed now. Where everything has to be this rush job of 12 episodes. Because like when the show opened up, like, the art, the character designs, like I thought all of that was really well done. So I don't know what happened, why it just kind of like started to fall flat toward the end. But
I agree with most of what you're saying. For me, one of the things that was really frustrating was that the name of it was Tadakun Won't Fall in Love.
Yeah.
And then there was no real point where they're like, oh yeah, Tadakun doesn't like girls. There was nothing paid attention to the title. He just falls in love with her. And then they could have been like, he goes to Luxembourg, and then he comes back, and he's like, I'm never going to love again. But he doesn't do that. He just kind of gets mopey for a while, and his cat tries to save him by, like, bringing out the pictures. And then she shows up, and it's like, oh, cool. Well, now I'm good. So I am going to love after all.
Oh, man.
So, I mean, I love the music in it, both the background music and the intro song and the outro song. Basic plot stuff. I don't know how I feel about the ending, to be honest. I am a person who often likes the sad ending where the person that you're trying to save dies, or like where they go their separate ways because that's what's better for them as individuals, or that kind of stuff. So, but I was also kind of happy because I thought they were a cute couple. I really loved their Rainbow Shogun date. And I loved how he is around her so much that he started adopting her mannerisms, like using the super formal old school Japanese to say like thanks and excuse me and stuff. I really liked them as a little mini couple, not couple. And then, you know, him going to Luxembourg and then getting super depressed and like moving back, like, I don't know, I just really liked that whole part of it. So I kind of I would have accepted if he, for example, like he's in the park taking pictures of Sakura, and then like if he like walks by a TV show, like a TV in a storefront, and he like sees her on the TV as a princess, and he kind of like smiles to himself, or like maybe sheds a single tear and like walks away. I would have been okay with that because I think that's like a realistic ending. But like the whole thing is like, oh well, I have to do this for my family, for my country, and then Charles is just like, nah, I'm calling off the wedding. Go be with Tada-kun. And it's like, oh. And then he's kind of like using Alex, like,
he's like hanging with her now.
So like, there was a scene in the middle when Charles first shows up where he kind of like says to Alex like, oh, you know, it's tough not being able to be with the one you love, or something like that. And it seemed to me that they were foreshadowing that he liked Alex too, that they had a mutual thing going, but he was already engaged. But then at the end, it's very clear that no, he did. He loved what's her name? Why can't I remember her name right now? Teresa. Yeah. He loved Teresa, and that was it. Like, he was not into Alex, but then at the end he's like, hey, so you like me? let's go on a date. And she's like, well, I like you, so I guess I'll go. I was kind of like, whoa, Charles, you're D-bag after all. Like, yeah,
like it was just a really weird way to wrap things up, I thought. Like you said, like I was prepared at the end to be like, oh, okay, like he tried, he failed, like, oh man, that kind of sucks. And then all of a sudden, like that little scene pops up and I was like, what? Yeah. Like, what? Okay.
It actually reminded me of, there was a live action TV drama called Last Christmas, based off the Wham song Last Christmas, which is the most popular Christmas song in Japan, by the way. That and the Mariah Carey version of All I Want for Christmas Is You are the only songs pretty much that they play on the radio here during Christmas. But so in this show, there's Oda Yuji, who's a really famous actor, and then he has this love interest that works at his company, and they're in love, and they hate each other, and they're in love, and then she has a super rare disease, and they're going to get married, and he runs to the church that they're supposed to meet at, and he opens the door, and she's not there, and it ends, and because she died.
Jeez.
And that's like the thing, like the last Christmas is because she died. And the fans of it were so angry about this ending that they like wrote letters and they to the company, and they like sent in threats and stuff.
Oh,
and
man.
like they actually made a 2-minute epilogue where he's running and he opens the door and she's not there, and then turns around and she's like in the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
Like they retconned it so she didn't die because people were so angry.
Oh man.
And that kind of felt like what happened with Teresa, where it's like,
Yeah.
man, people are gonna be really mad if we don't get them together, so we better have her show up in Japan at the end. So, but yeah, I'm definitely with you. Like, I would have been interested in seeing a little bit of love story between Yamashita and the younger sister. I really liked the story of his friend. He's like a rich boy who just kind of like forces his way into being friends with Tadakun, and like,
Yeah, the blonde kid.
yeah,
Yeah,
and he's
like-
actually voiced by Ryuji from Persona 5.
Yeah.
So who I hate, by the way. I hate his character. But I liked his character in this one, so it kind of like was a point of whatever, like okay, I guess you're not I can disassociate you as a bad voice actor because I hated you in that one role.
Well, even Tada, like he's the guy that he's the same voice actor that did Tomiya and Clannad, and he did
Yeah.
he's like was in Gundam Thunderbolt. He plays the main character. Like he's like a, you know, he's a top guy too. And I'm like, whoa, like all right,
Yeah.
like how'd you guys end up on this show?
Yeah. I think you're right, though. It definitely felt like there was more in the manga that we weren't seeing, and then it turned out there was no manga. Like,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And like I'm definitely more annoyed by the fact that it's an original, and they could have done so much more with it than being like, oh, well, we were only following source material. Like, oops, sorry, but like, no, like they didn't. No, that wasn't it. So I don't know. I really I'm really curious, you know, about finding out like what's going on in the industry right now and like why this stuff keeps happening, because I just don't understand it. Like from just like a storytelling standpoint, I'm
like, are they not getting the budget to get 26 episodes out of the 8?
I'm sure.
Or what?
I'm like 90% sure that's probably what most of it is going to be. But you know, still when you look at shows from like, you know, 10, 15 years ago, or like you look at some of the big shows, like even like Darling in the Franxx, like I'm sure we'll talk about that. Like that was a whole 20,
getting there.
like that's a whole 24 episodes too, and that's like A1. That's like A1 and Trigger, and it's like those guys, like A1's a big studio, but like Trigger, like they're not really. They had a couple of good ones, but like, you know, how are they doing a 24 episode series and like, you know, like another studio can't? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's answers.
You're not going to tell me that Little Witch Academia did that well, like, to fully fund 24 episodes of another show.
Well, they had 24 episodes. Like Academia, they're on Netflix. They have a video game. You know, apparently it did well enough. Like, Kill la Kill's coming out with a game too that Arc System's doing. Yeah. So it's like, what's going on here, guys? But
I'm really sad it's not an actual fighting game, but oh well.
Well.
It's a Naruto-esque arena brawler.
Yeah.
But whatever.
You know.
All right, so from me, I'd say watch Tadakun. It was probably my favorite one of this series.
Yeah, you know, it was. It was.
Of non-continuing ones.
Sure.
It was my favorite serious show of this. I like Yomushi Pedal more, but that's kind of not fair because that's like a super long, overarching one.
Shows that started this season. Yeah. Or last season, yeah.
So, but yeah, that Tadakun was probably my pick for the season. Like if I had to, maybe Hinamatsuri, but either way, I'd say if I had to pick one or two, I'd pick Tadakun and Hinamatsuri.
Yeah, I can.
The rest, I would say you could basically ignore.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
All right, so one last one that started last season, then we'll get into a couple that were bleed overs. We have Otakoi. Otaku ni koi wa muzukashii. Well, this one was difficult for me because I love Sugita Tomokazu, and I did not. Well, I didn't not like it as much as some other people didn't, but it was just kind of nothing really happened.
Yeah.
It felt like a lazily put together story, and one of the things that really bugged me right at the beginning was that he very obviously likes her, and she just kind of agrees to date him for whatever.
Yeah.
And then they never really talk about it again.
Yeah, like it doesn't get any deeper than that. Like
they never really have like a "I like you more than you like me" type thing. Like that would have been a good point for some drama, but it almost felt like they wanted to make a love story that's just not deep.
Yeah,
it's just a shallow story for jokes about being otaku. And that's what it ended up with, and it was all right. I thought it started strong, but then it just kind of got more of the same. There very clearly is more to go on, like his younger brother that's friends with the girl that he thinks is a guy.
Oh yeah,
like that part was funny, and that part interested in me, but
yeah.
When it was over, it's like, oh wait, only 11 episodes? I don't even get like 2 more episodes to see what happens with them. Someone to tell him that that's a girl, like, oh, okay, well, and her friend and their boss, their relationship was kind of like whatever. I liked the little bit like they're mean to each other when everyone's around, but then when they're like alone, they're like really cute and happy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just kind of a forgettable show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of people were saying that they're like, oh wow, it's actually like an adult, like it's adults that are in this relationship and they all like the same stuff. Which yeah, I could see that, but yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was a great representation of what those relationships are like, or even really tried to go deep into them either. So I mean, yeah, by the end of it I was kind of like, okay, like I'm kind of glad it's over, but I mean it wasn't a super terrible show. Like I had some laughs.
Yeah, I wasn't like getting tortured watching it or anything like that, but
yeah, and I finished it, so yeah.
It just kind of felt like they were like, otaku are weird, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, she's a fujoshi, so she speaks about her boyfriend and his friend making out and stuff. Like, oh, they argue who's the top, and like,
yeah,
okay. I liked how he had his like, I've been waiting to play this new game. I'm gonna be by myself this weekend, and then she like goes to surprise him, and he's collapsed on the floor, like because he didn't eat for 3 days or whatever. So. It had its funny little points, but I guess I kind of was hoping for something a little bit deeper, and it was just kind of a medium gag show.
Yeah.
With like, there was a hint of some drama, and then that was it.
Yeah.
So whatever. Not really recommended to watch unless you really, really want to.
Hi everyone, thank you for listening to this episode of Aniki Nikki. This episode has gotten kind of long, so we're actually going to split it into 2. It should be up later this week. Look forward to it. Thank you. Bye.